Well, a lot of times in Diablo 2 Resurrected, you really are at the whim of the RNG gods. You never know if them items you need to find that are very, very good are actually going to drop for you when you need them. Well, actually, sometimes you don't have to wait. You can make or shop really great items to help you out along your playthrough. So that's why today I'm going over the absolute best underrated budget items that you can just go ahead and make or pick up at any time, no RNG required. Now, the first one we're going to talk about here is the Rhyme Shield. All it takes is a 2 open-socketed shield, a Shale Rune, and an F, and you get an absolutely powerful item for your offhand. For just that low cost, you get a better block rate and block chance, 15% regenerate mana, 25 to all res, which is crucially important as you progress through the game. Crazy enough, it even has cannot be frozen on it, which is absolutely mandatory for essentially any melee character. And on top of that, you get 25% better magic find, helping you find even better gear faster. Now, in my opinion, discounting completely random luck, this is going to be the best shield that you can really have on almost any character until you make that Spirit Monarch later on in the game. This next one is an absolute go-to, a staple for the very beginning of ladder for pretty much all of my characters, and that's actually a 3 topaz helmet. Now, it is not difficult at all to find yourself a 3-socketed helmet literally anywhere in the game from like Nightmare on, and the perfect topazes are not particularly hard to find either. You just have to pick up flawless gems along the way when you're playing through hell, cube those together, 3 of them will equal a perfect topaz. Now, obviously this doesn't give you any other stats besides the 72% magic find, but in my opinion, finding better gear is just that important. There are other items like lore and peasant's crown that can give you that 1-to-all skill, but in my opinion, it is super important to get that magic find early on in ladder. Another option would be to put 4 topazes in a 4-socketed body armor, but I feel like everybody having stealth early on, having that walk run, having that faster cast rate is way more important than the stuff that you would get from either the peasant's crown or the lore, because that is essentially just 1-to-all skills. So I'm willing to sacrifice that in order to get more cast rate usually for a caster, because actually it seems like you get more damage output by casting faster than you would the amount of damage you gain from just that one little old skill. And that's why I always go with this 3 topaz helm at the beginning of ladder. Now, this could be one of the most underrated items that I use, and I literally see no one else using it, and that is the caster belt. Now, early on in the game, FCR is absolutely crucial. It could be literally the difference between life and death in certain situations. Not to mention, moving up faster cast rate breakpoints will actually increase your damage output like crazy sometimes. Now, when you make these caster belts, it's not just getting a little bit of faster cast rate. You can also get things like a significant amount of extra mana, you could get life on it, you could get all different types of resistances on it as well. And let's be honest here, what are you really using in that belt slot? Perhaps you can find yourself a gold rep if you're very lucky. If you haven't found that yet, then you're probably plugging in some rare belt that maybe, if you're lucky, has a tiny bit of resistances on it, maybe a tiny bit of life. You can actually get all that same stuff on a caster belt, along with up to 10% faster cast rate. And besides the Arachnid's Mesh, this is the only way in the game to get faster cast rate in your belt slot. So if you're going into any type of caster build, do not sleep on the caster belt. Now, the sorceresses, they don't really need any more help, so this one's going to be for every other character except the sorceress, and that is get yourself a teleport staff. Now, I don't mean a staff that has the teleport skill on it. You can actually find staffs that have teleport charges on it, so then you can teleport around just as a sorceress does, except you could be a barbarian or a druid or any other character. Now, these staffs will have a limited number of charges, so you can't go flying around all willy-nilly, but if you're trying to get through some completely annoying place like, I don't know, the maggot lair, you are going to count your lucky stars if you got one of these. Now, you can actually buy one of these from Ormus as early as Act 3 normal. That's where you're going to be able to find them for the absolute cheapest price as well. A quick way to do this is just be level 23 when you go to shop Ormus, and then just only check the staffs that show up in red instead of the regular blue background. Because teleport requires level 24, if you're level 23, it will show up as red because you cannot actually use it yet, but you can actually purchase it. If you want to get even more teleport charges, you could probably trade for a Nagus staff a little bit later. They are not expensive at all. They have way more charges, and they even have faster cast rate on it, so you can teleport around, obviously, even faster. This is essentially the poor man's Enigma. You can teleport around and do an entire chaos run without all the charges on a mage's staff running out. All you do is pick up stuff you can sell for gold along the way. When you get back to town, sell it and repair that staff. I will warn you though, the amount of gold it takes is well over 100,000, probably 120 or 130,000 to fully repair the charges on a mage's teleport staff. But picking up all those necro wands and those sorceress orbs and selling them when you get back to town for a bunch of gold is a small price to pay to speed up those chaos sanctuary runs a ton. So do not forget, get yourself a teleport staff for every single character early on if you're not a sorceress. Alright, next we're going to look at one for those melee characters, and that is the Black Runeword. Now Black does have 15% increased attack speed and 120% enhanced damage, but that's not the most noteworthy thing on this particular Runeword. That is the crazy massive 40% crushing blow for just the cost of a Thull, Io, and Neph rune. Now even if later on you find weapons with way more damage, you're probably going to want to keep this on swap for any of your melee characters. Whenever you come into a boss, you go ahead and hit them with your Black Runeword, that crushing blow, chopping them down from the top. The crushing blow takes a percentage of the total life the monster has left. Now once their life total will get down nice and low, so then you can go ahead and switch to your weapon that has a higher base damage and go ahead and take them out. So until you get a much significantly better weapon much later on, make sure you have one of those Black Runewords on any of your melee characters. You won't regret it. So now we'll talk about another one for those melee characters. Gotta show those Zealers and those Frenzy Barbs some love. In this one right here, we're talking about Blood Gloves. So these Blood Gloves are incredibly easy to make with this Herodic Cube recipe, and with it you get up to 3 life leech, up to 22 life, and what is most important here, you can get up to 10% chance of crushing blow. You can, like any type of crafted stuff, also get other things like mana and resistances and all different types of things like that. But that crushing blow can absolutely be crucial. So as I explained earlier with the Black Runeword, crushing blow takes a percentage of the remaining life of a monster. So when they have a ton of life, you're dealing a crazy high amount of damage. Way more damage than your weapon could actually output. And in this case, you don't have to rely on RNG like it would be all the different types of unique gloves that there are, or finding a good rare pair. On top of that, you're going to be hard pressed to find any gloves that have crushing blow, with the exception of these Blood Gloves. And it is not hard at all to get one perfect ruby and one Neph rune. You can go ahead and find any random junk jewel, and you could even buy these gloves from a vendor in order to cube together to make this set. You can make a pair early on, and you could even roll some later to make an absolutely godly pair that could even be worth runes. So melee characters, make sure you get yourself some Blood Gloves. And now the last thing we got to check out here is one of these videos right over here. YouTube knows you're going to like it, so make sure you click on that and check them out before you go. Hit the like button, subscribe up, and don't forget, fellas, keep slaying!